Well, look at you. Just take a look at you. Sitting here and nothing to do. Myself, I'm waiting for my third cup of coffee. Hope my audio's good. I don't know. But one of you fine folks, when you come on here, y'all can tell me. Well, let me tell you, I just come back from spraying my fence line again. I put another 15 gallons. Oh, a horizontal channel. Hello. And there's Motorbahn, Virginia. Moto, you might let me know. Mac is hot. Oh, he's so hot. I've been out there spraying. Let me tell you a little story. Last week when we was putting down the spray, I mixed up two batches of stuff that you can, as a farmer, you can buy this weed control, brush control. You can get it extra strong, real strong stuff. So I mixed up these two mixtures of strong stuff and went out and filled the tank up. I also added, morning there, Robert. I added soap, dishwashing detergent. What you do, you add the dishwashing detergent to 15 gallons. You add some in there, and it makes the poison stick till it has a chance to set in on the leaves. Rob's neighbor, look at there. There's another good human being. So I mixed it all up, and they all turned the oil pump on, and it pumped up. Went over, started spraying, and it went about 5 feet, and it quit. Well, the filter is down on the bottom of the tank on the outside. You have to screw this thing off. There's no way you can open it up. So I took the big cap off the top to look down inside there to see, and this dark, murky looking stuff, this poison is. Hey, 2-4. And so I could see big chunks of stuff floating around. It's like soap. The soap didn't blend with the chemicals. It cooked the soap. It turned it into slime, and that slime sucked into the filter. So I had to go get a 35-gallon garbage container, slide the tank at the end of the trailer, and then drain it into a 35-gallon garbage container. And then we had to put a cloth over the top of the big spout and pour all that in a strain. Good morning there, Sterling. Strain all that stuff out. And then we went back to spraying. Well, meanwhile, while we was doing this, it started to rain. So I knew we just wasted $149 worth of stuff. So this morning I mixed up another $149 batch of stuff. That's how much chemical I put in $149. I mixed another batch up, and it's so hot out there when you spray, you could see the steam coming off the leaves. It was already in the high 80s. I think it's going to top out in the high 90s today, 96 tomorrow. So I got two really hot days in a row. And that pretty well ought to kill off the weeds for the summer. We hope so. Yeah, she's getting pretty hot real fast. I'm soaking wet. I didn't just come in the house and go in and take a shower. I had my mask on. I had all the stuff. The reason being is I needed to chill out just a little bit. I thought, well, How could you chill out any better than going and being with a bunch of good human beings? There's a few good human beings missing, but they have to earn a living. Sterling will, he's probably out there in his Sprinter van somewhere, probably terrorizing some neighborhood. You know, he got them big loud, he's got that Hemi 396, 392 cubic inch Hemi in that Sprinter van. The only one in the nation. Got them side zoomy pipes on it. He's running pure nitro. So see, Sterlingville has places to go and people to see. Oh, I was talking to my son last night, and his line went dead. He just sent me a message. Let me see what happened to his phone when he was talking to me, and his phone went dead because he lost the charge. He forgot how he was down low, and it shut down on him. I knew he went dead for a reason. Yeah, Hellcat Sprinter. Yeah, Sprinter, man. Got the big tars on it too, man. Them 18-wheelers you see going down the roads got the dual, one big tire that represents like the dual. I don't remember what to call them. I think they look cooler than hell, but I don't know how they hold up. But that's what Sterling's got on his Sprinter van. A pair of them big tars on the back. They call them road packer, or what do they call them damn things when you put them big old wide tires all the way across there? Steamrollers. Well, hot weekend. Y'all saw I went for a ride yesterday. And I reviewed the video. I usually review the video as I'm putting it together. And I saw several times when I could have been killed. Right down, you saw that intersection. When I crossed the bridge, all that rubber on the road, people usually never stop at those stop signs. They fly through it 70 miles per hour across there. You see all that guardrail tore up, that's where they hit there and they blow over into the river. Usually drowns 2 or 3 of them. That's the place. You can set up a camera there and you just see the rednecks killing themselves over there. It's like a blood sport with them. And you saw there was 2 coming up to a stop. And you have to look. You don't know. I did blip my throttle a little bit there. Hey, brown chicken. Oh, Sick is on. Oh, hell, I didn't know. I went and looked and I didn't see Sick because I was going to join him this morning. Then I thought, well, I go spray. Damn it to hell. I just turned this on for a few minutes. Well, people can go over and visit with him, and I'll just stay right here because after a while, yeah, it's going on 10 o'clock my time, going on 11 his. I already started the thing up. Oh, if I'd know it, I never interfere with nobody. I am just not of that nature. I could have had my trumpet. I'd play you some music. Anyhow, it was really a beautiful day for a ride yesterday. I enjoyed it, just getting out. And, I'm going to tell you something. When my Harley was in the shop, oh, by the way, if I can do this. Can you guess? Can you guess which coils are burned up? look right here. Yeah, I wonder which one is burned up. Well, these things, they live in a pretty harsh environment. And this is an original. This is a Milwaukee's finest. I was really taken by surprise because he told me it could be as much as 3 weeks. And then Next thing you know, they FedExed it overnight. And anyhow, the part I was going to tell you is we were sitting there watching a movie. Angelique and I was watching that new Happy Gilmore 2. I don't know if y'all like golf, and Happy Gilmore was the ultimate super golfer. And his second movie is better than the first movie. I really liked it. But we was watching the movie. And she says to me, you know what? I miss old Miss Piggy. She said, we ride every day. See, we go out for a ride. We go to lunch and we just ride around. And that's the first time she admitted that she missed going for a ride. Yesterday, you saw in the video, her little head was sweating so much. It was slathered up. she, uh, she's a good riding partner. Hey, Robin. The second Happy Gilmore, my God, that thing was funny. Had almost all of the old Saturday Night Live crew in there. They really take care of one another. That whole bunch. If one does a movie, they all appear in it one way or the other. Even Rob Schneider was in it. I like that little, when he played Tiny Elvis. He was always sitting on the dash of the car. Rob Schneider was in a routine that he did on Saturday Night Live. Tiny Elvis or whatever it was. It was a cute little skit. So she admitted she missed the bike. So yeah, we take off and I had a good ride. And I'm gonna tell you, after I went through the intersection up there at where the three counties comes together at that stop sign, right after I passed there was a guy coming out of a side road with a great big thing on the front end of his John Deere tractor sticking way the hell out there. And for just a second, he decided he would go ahead and pull on out, and he didn't. I think he finally, at the last second, saw me. Yeah, you can just go back and look at your movie and just see how many times you escaped death. Oh, take a look at the second Happy Gilmore 2. It's just funny. You know, he was a down and out old drunk. You know, he had pretty well was in the tank there for quite a while and made a comeback. Our weekend was fairly uneventful on the other the family issue there. I may end up going down maybe this coming week, or not this week that we're in now, but next week. I may go down because by then maybe she'll be where she can communicate and carry on. I don't know. Right now, she's got a lot of grandkids, her daughter, people there. But once she stabilizes, if she does stabilize, we're thinking about riding down there. We'll go down. I'll probably take the truck and the trailer and haul my bike down. While we're down there, we'll ride, do some riding. It's just too hot to ride two up. If you're riding single by yourself on a bike, you know, that might be one thing. But riding two up, it's hot. How about that? Dan Aykroyd, some of the greats. You know, if those that goes over to see Sit there, let him know I did not know he had a live going. I saw him last night when Ray was leaving down in Florida. I saw he was seeing his goodbye heading back towards home. I know he made it because I watched him this morning when he had his mail call. That's going to be 96. Let me see. Tomorrow, then we got 3 days of storms, heavy duty storms. There'll probably be some property loss. Let's see. I know Moto, he's off today, so he'll probably be cooking up some spam here after a while. I gotta cook lunch today. We escaped cooking yesterday when we went out and ate, but her and I both like to cook at home, um, home cooking. We like to experiment with stuff. If we go by a place that's got a new super duty rub of some kind, especially during barbecue season, I like over at Ace Hardware, of all the places in the world, they got you slap your mama and the devil's ass. They got all them killer southern names, for barbecue sauces. At Ace Hardware, we found some good seasonings, rubs. I like a dry rub on my ribs. My son was a grill master in Seattle, of all places. You think, what the hell would they know anything about barbecuing? Well, he was raised by me, and I was about as southern as you can get. And he worked for a company that installed high-end barbecue grills. If you have a $1.2 million, maybe a $2 to $4 million house, you didn't have like a fry daddy or nothing like that, or a little rotisserie thing. No, you had these big built-in, and his company installed those big high-end $20,000 barbecue grills, 20,000 and up. And he would demonstrate at the store being a grill master. And his mastery come from Bill Street in Memphis, Tennessee. He styled all of his cooking. He loved them cooks in Memphis. See, Donald traveled with me when he was a child with the military. We always got GSA housing. They always provided us with a home on the base, usually what they call officers' quarters, wherever we were stationed at. So we always had a good child care service and all that kind of stuff. He traveled with me, and he ate so much good barbecue when he was stationed down here in the South with me. When we was in Knob Noster, Missouri, we used to go over to a world famous barbecue place in a little place called Lamont, Missouri. And right on the outside of the sign it said world famous barbecue. And how it become world famous is sitting right there next to Lamont, Missouri, is Knob Noster. And Knob Noster is the home of the B-2 bomber. But back in the days when I was there, it was a strategic air command. And they would load those C-141s up full of barbecue, and they would fly from Knob Noster, Missouri, to Saudi Arabia, direct nonstop. They'd refuel a couple of times, but they would fly many pallet loads of barbecue from that famous barbecue place, and it served the troops in the Middle East. I bought a gallon of the barbecue sauce from them. It started off hotter than hell, and then from there up it got real high. Oh, they had your regular tomato base ketchup like barbecue sauce if that's what you wanted, but they had a lot of high high caliber stuff. Oh, look at his uncle ran the logs in for many years at BZ Coners. Pit Boss pellet. 2-4's got a Pit Boss pellet smoker and Blackstone. Oh man, well you appreciate good barbecue. Yeah, it don't get no better than when you do it yourself. But I just over the years had weaned myself off of the sloppy. You know, I mean, I've eaten many ribs where it's all over. You have to put a bib on to eat the ribs because there's so much sauce on it, and that's delicious. But I started going into the rubs where every time you take a bite, you got nothing but just goodness of the meat and all that flavor, and you didn't have all that stuff dripping on you. And but a lot of time it's the fun of licking all that stuff. You know, you got it all in your hands. Yeah, yeah. I did 1 year at Knob Noster. It was one of my best years of my life. I was up on the when at that time we were on what they call the top end of the cycle for the Minuteman missile. I delivered to the Air Force. We we would go through the process of the delivery to the Air Force, a Minuteman silo with the missile intact. And once I sold it to the Air Force, once they accepted it, then they escorted us off with little APs with their little special little uniforms and little black berets and the little M16s. They would escort us off the site like we were criminals. That was just a thing they had to do. What? Well, I cannot. I tell you what. Ah, mm-mm-mm. Mac dollars are universal. In fact, I saw one of my $3 bills this morning at Ray Ray's hanging on his bulletin board, on his board behind him. Angelique, she saw it too. She saw a Mac dollar. Now we begin this. The Mac dollars. Angelique also verified to me the money I sent Dave has now been delivered in Perth, but Dave's on the other side. When he gets his change in, he may already have it already changed up. It'll be a 3-day trip or so back across the country. You'll get it. But that money's already been went through screening and checking over and everything in Australia. Yeah, that money's them $3 bills are starting to show up everywhere now. Oh, I give them. Oh, I will tell you. I was stopped over there in Hansville, Alabama, and Angelique ran into the store, and here come a little silver-haired lady up and started. She said, "I want to get me a trike." She said, "I'm not getting around good, but she said I love riding a motorcycle, but I haven't rode in years. But I gonna get me one." And she said, "And you know what I'm going to do as soon as I get my trike?" I go, "What are you going to do?" She said, "I'm going to put my stuff in that trunk and I'm going to tell them kids, I've got kids. She said, I'm almost 65 years old and I got kids living at home." And she said, "It's more than that little old trailer can hold. We got a little old trailer we living in. And all them kids and all her kids and them grandkids and them second wives and second husbands." And she said, "There's people in that house I don't even know." She said, "I'm going to load my shit up in that trunk of that damn truck. And she said, I'm gonna hit the road and I ain't gonna look back. I will let them damn fools have that trailer. I'll tell you, I am. No, I'm just sick. I'm sick at my stomach with the whole affair. I want to get out of here in the worst sort of way. As soon as I get myself a track. I said, well, you got one a deal lined up somewhere? No, but I have been looking. I said, well, it's a good way to escape, you know. Oh, she said, you can't get away from my kids. Hell, I've moved before. She said, I moved over in that trailer park and they found me before the end of the day. The next thing you know, they were all moving in, all of them. Hell, I'm sick of them people, I tell you. I know them's my kids and everything, but some of them people I don't even know. They drag people in at my house all the time. I don't know who them people are. She said, Lord have mercy. I just dreamed of the day when I get my truck, I'm gonna go right into the sunset and not even ever look back. Good luck, sweetie. So I gave her. She said, "What the hell is this?" I said, "Well, that's a sticker." And I said, "I'm world famous." She said, "Oh, is that you on that money?" I said, "Yeah, that's me." She said, "Lord have mercy." This is the characters you meet, you know. The characters I meet. I meet some of Alabama's finest. The dream of a little old gray-headed lady that she's going to escape her kids and her grandkids, and probably great grandkids and husbands and wives and all that stuff that people she never even seen. So them girls dragging guys in here all the time. I don't know who they are. You can almost write a movie on that story of that old lady. She painted such a vivid picture in my mind, you know. Old trailer house she's living in has got probably a walk around deck, 8 or 9 dogs laying under the bottom of the deck there, you know, eat up with fleas and ticks. You can hear gunfire in those kind of places. You know there's gonna be some gunfire before the day is over. Hell, he done took one of my tires off my damn pickup and I had to shoot the sucker. Yep. Said he's just barring it. Southern living. Well, I'm glad I got all my poison down. Let me see. I beat I beat the heavy heat. Yeah, she's not. She hadn't got really hot yet. Y'all focused, aren't you? You know, them damn things just won't focus. You can see what it is now. There it is, 89 degrees. Look what it says down there. It feels like 102 degrees. I'm telling you, she is a hot one. Heat advisory goes through Tuesday at 9 p.m. at night, tomorrow night, before the heat advisory is over. Oh yeah, humidity is pretty damn high. Let's see what it says for humidity. I have to go over to another page. It's really high. This morning, we looked out on the security camera, and the carport is made out of aluminum, and there was a cloud of vapor hanging over the carport where the moisture of the night was still on the metal and the heat was drying it up and it was just steam coming off the top of the carport. Oh, you haven't got your 2-4, but they've been delivered, but you just haven't got them yet. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. I know you've changed location. Yeah, well, that's the way life is. You know, you got people coming and going, and addresses being changed. Let me let me turn my. I turned the air conditioner on over there, but I'm going to drop her down a little bit lower. Come on, there you go. We'll get it down. There we go. That ought to be. That'll be. Oh, she's blowing good now. Yeah, we got a couple of things to do this week here at the place, and maybe next week I might run down there. I'll just go down there for one day because they got a lot of family down there, and I don't know most of them. But I just, pay my respect. I go in and visit her if she's still in the hospital next week, and let her know that people care for her. She's not out of the woods yet. I don't think she's speaking yet or speaking coherently. I'm telling you, they can perform miracles. Once they get you in there, they can do stuff to bring you back from the far reaches of wherever you was at. They have little dogs now. I don't let them go where I spray. I don't spray around the front. Well, in order, she has to take them out away from any place I might spray. And so she's had to change her little walking path to go into an area where it'd be safe for the dogs to be in. This ain't supposed to be harmful to animals. It's only plant life. I give it a good soaking today. Ooh, did I ever I put down a heavy load. I may have to do it one more time before I may do it in October. Yeah, I might put another. Yeah, October. I might treat the privet. The privet grows year round, and so I'm gonna probably spray the privet again. Once you spray it, it kills it all the way down to the roots. This kills the roots and everything, but see, there's berries, privet berries already in the soil, and it'll come up. It does not poison the soil. It only poisons the plant. So I might put a dose, my final dose for the year in November. I know October. October. Because everything here pretty well is dormant except the privet bushes by Halloween. Really, really pleased with the internet. It has been real good. They had to turn me off one more time. Remember, I was off. I was off a couple of weeks ago. They sent me an email and tell me they was going to be off between 8:30 and 12. See, as they add in a whole new line of people, they got to shut mine down as they add in, because they're all tied together. So they give me a notification. So Angelique and I, we took off and went for a ride and had dinner or lunch. And then when we come back, she was all up and running. But we are really proud of how. how good the system works. Check out check out them speeds. That's pretty good speed. And they're going to be turned off a few more times as they had. See, there's 46 districts in this complex of um, fiber optics, and we're District 42, so there's 4 more districts before they have all of Coleman County covered, and all 4 of the districts happen to be down on my end, the lower part of the county. Coleman County is one of the larger counties. Hey, Stick, I did not know that you had a show going. They told me, I believe Brown Chicken told me that there was two shows going at once. Connie is not out of the woods yet. As of yesterday, she's not talking very well yet. But they think that she's going to recover. The prognosis looked really good as of yesterday. Now, what type of life she has to live after that event, I don't know. We won't know until she gets where she can communicate. Oh yeah, life is precious. Well, in my little video, I talked about my sister and brother. Today, my brother turns 81 years of age, and me and him lived really a good life for many years. Done a lot of stuff. Did a lot of things we really enjoyed doing. We were just people that seeking adventure. Him and I traveled together all over the country, and we had no limits put on us. In our days, nobody could put a limit on us because we were like basic outlaws, Southern outlaws. We did pretty well what we wanted to do. Yeah, she is strong, and she's got quite a bit of resilience in her. Yeah, that's the one. Her and my brother, the two I mentioned, Robert and Connie, yesterday in the video. They was the one that stole my Plymouth Fury. They'd send me on I was driving a rig, a truck, and I'd be on a long run. And while I'd be gone, they would run my car everywhere, but to make sure that that I wouldn't know anything about it, I always wash my car. So when I come back in, that car is nice and clean, like it never had been moved. Immediately, I knew that they already took out for a drive. But I taught them how to drive. Take care, Sterling. I was out there in the brush, and I could feel things crawling on me. And I'm starting to dry out a little bit. As soon as I dry out just a little bit more, I'm gonna go get in the shower, get myself scarred off. I just had to cool off. Well, Sick, I watched you say goodbye to Ray yesterday. I know he made it home safe because I watched his mail call this morning. But that was real cool. You was out in the yard, and it's really sounded good when you fired her up, fired the machine up. That's another guy that has no boundary, where he goes pretty well wherever he wants to, when he wants to. And I do too. By going and slow down, well, you got to keep in mind, remember, in December last year, I was up in Washington State. So we did it the long way. We went from here all the way to the Mexican border because we couldn't get across no passes. They were all snowed in. And we got down in New Orleans, as we went west of New Orleans, we hit a tornado. It was blowing stuff all over the bayou there. And then as we kept going, there was very violent storms all the way across. When we got to El Paso, over in El Paso, there was a storm that lasted for 100 miles. We were in sign lights flashing, caution, crosswind, 75-mile-per-hour crosswind across the freeway. Dust so thick you couldn't see. Then we run across a Jeep burning up. And finally, when we got to not Tombstone, but Tucson, Arizona, there was a break there. And the rest of it was all traffic and snow. When we got up to Northern California, it started snowing up in the Siskiyou Mountains up there, up around Mount Shasta. And it snowed all the way till we got up to Eugene, Oregon. It was snowing all the way to Eugene. And then we had spots of snow in Kelso and Longview. That's in Washington State. That's in the southern part of the state, right after you cross the Columbia River. Up in Kelso and Longview, up in that area, we got snow up in there. But the closer we got to the Puget Sound, which is up by Olympia. Olympia is where I-5 makes a veer off to the right to go to Seattle. And you can hit 101 right there and go up around the Olympic Peninsula in Olympia. Right in a little community called Tumwater. That's where the three major breweries are in Washington State. Heidelberg, Olympia, and Rainier. Three big breweries there. Rainier, I drank a lot of Rainier. Olympia beer was like mouthwash. It was kind of mild. Kind of a light beer. Because of the blue laws in Washington, the beer was 3.2. It was just, you'd have to drink 12 bottles to get anything out of it, to feel anything. So they didn't do anything as far as cut back on drinking. You just had to drink twice as much. When you come to Alabama, your beer is 6.2 or 6% beer and up. You drink 4 or 5 of them, you can feel them. Yeah, we were talking about Washington beer versus Alabama beer. Washington, 3.2. When we got to Washington, way back in the first time I got to Washington was in the late 50s. And then It was all under the church controlled the state of Washington. Like Puritan laws, they had blue laws for everything. No meat could be sold on Sunday. A lot of things that couldn't be done. It was one of those, they just want you to go to work at Boyne and put your hours in and go home and sleep and come back and put another shift in. They weren't interested in nothing else. But eventually the blue laws went away in 1977. And but they never raised the level of the beer. Now, when I say this, is they changed the laws to where they have microbreweries. And the microbreweries they have higher content of alcohol. Yeah, they changed the beer drinking laws up in Washington State. I think they had to do it because the Norwegians, we have a community in Seattle called Ballard, Washington. It's made up of Scandinavian people. And they're heavy beer drinkers. Anybody from Europe will tell you they drink their beer, big lager, great big old block beer, big, dark, rich, thick, knock you on your butt beer. So they got these microbreweries that produce beer for the Oktoberfest, where they eat all that fish, little fish, and all that pickled fish in a barrel, and drink beer. Ooh. Yeah, beer, it varies in our country from one area to another, the alcohol content. And what is really strange, we come down to the Bible Belt, and the alcohol content is higher in beer. But up there where the heathen and godless people are, the alcohol content is lower. And I remember when we was in Washington, Coors beer was not allowed to be brought into the state for commercial consumption. You could drink it in Washington, but you couldn't buy it in Washington. Coors beer was against the law. See, that's when you're a lobbyist for a beer corporation, such as Rainier and Heidelberg and Olympia. They did not want none of them other beers in there, especially Colorado Kool-Aid, So we used to have to drive to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. From where we lived, the nearest Coors beer you could get was in Coeur d'Alene. Coeur d'Alene is on the Idaho-Washington border up by Spokane. We'd run over there and get several cases of Coors beer. You could get Coors beer on the Indian reservation. But if you got caught coming out of the Indian reservation with Coors beer, not only would they take all of your beer from you, but you'd be arrested. Yeah, I gotta take a break. I got me a last cup of coffee or my third cup of coffee. Man, Daddy, you're doing the right thing right there. If I had a cold beer, I would crack one. I've got to get me a little fridge and set it right over there. And I'd have access if I wanted to pop a cold one. I can do something. But I have to call her on the phone. And, she has her own things that she's doing. She don't like to be disturbed. So I try not to call her unless it's an emergency. When Joe comes by, sometimes I'll call her and I go out there and bring us, and she'll bring us some adult beverages. When she was younger, I used to call her Chardonnay because we were in our wine drinking, wine drinking phase, and my wife liked Chardonnay. She liked Chardonnay. We liked what's that other one? Real fruity, like sangria. Sangria on crushed ice on a summer day. Oh, man, that's good. And it's like a tropical drink, sangria. But we were in our Chardonnay, so we used to call Angelique Chardonnay. But every time we called on her, it was to bring a bottle of Chardonnay. We got our own winery thing up there in the front, up in that side of the house over there. It's got the rack with the bottles. We didn't have to tell her what kind of wine to bring us. She knew what to bring. Chardonnay. And people go through different phases in their life, different kinds of beer. I used to drink a lot of rum and cokes. I really loved the rum and coke. And so I was having a health issue with my kidneys. And this was way back, a long time ago. This is when I was young. So the doctor said, you got to give up on the coke. Coke is not good for you. So I switched to Canadian Club and 7-Up, CC and 7. My wife said, I can't believe you give up your rum for CC. I go, well, you got to do what you got to do. My little girl, Cindy, she always liked to help her mama unload the car. She was really a helpful person. She's really a good human being right now today. Because her mama taught her good values about helping, always help somebody. So when mom was unloading groceries, Cindy would be out there bringing big bags full of groceries. Well, when she got down, there was a brand new bottle of CC. We had hardwood floors in the kitchen. When she came through the door from the outside, she tripped a little bit on the rug and dropped that jug of CC. It just blew up. That's before they had plastic jugs. Oh, poor little thing. She cried her eyes out because she wanted to get that jug in there so Daddy could have a drink. She still remembers that today. It's funny thing that sticks up in kids' mind. One time, all the family was all sitting around, and I asked the kids. I said, "What is one thing that you remember from your childhood when we used to do all the camping?" And Cindy said, "We at the time I had a cruising van that seated a lot of people and had everything in it, but we also was pulling a 22-foot trailer with it. And we was high up in the Olympic Mountains, the Olympic Peninsula, and we're high over 8,000 feet on a logging road. And I come around the corner, and the whole road was gone. I'm talking about it was 300 feet down there. It was horrible. It was a big landslide. So I hit the big brakes and stopped. Well, I'm on this narrow road. The van is long. The trailer is 22 foot long. And I've got to turn around on that road. But I can't back down no 3 or 4 miles down there to a wide spot. So had the boys out there. It's pouring down raining. I would back the trailer up to where the wheels, the whole 12 feet of the trailer would be hanging over the bluff till where the wheels come up right to the very edge. And then I would inch up a little bit more, and I did this about 4 or 5 cuts. And they just held their breath every time I'd back up. I was watching them. And when they told me to stop, I wanted that wheel to be right at the edge. Finally, I got the thing turned around. They remembered that. She said that was the scariest thing in her life. And the other scary thing is we were pulling the same rig across the Columbia River, and the wind was blowing 100 miles per hour down the Columbia River. The sign up there has the wind speed on it. And as we were crossing the bridge, that massive sign that covered all four lanes collapsed across the highway right behind us. Wind blowed it down. All that stuff you see, stuff was flying. And I was on the inside lane next to the, where you look down and see the river. The wind pushed me all the way to the center. There's a barrier there. You can't go over in the incoming lane. But I was no control. The wind just slid me, that trailer, van, and all of it. It was scary. It was a touch and go moment there, I gotta say. Yeah, we had some serious driving back in the day. When I was driving over the road, I took a load of steel from O'Neill Steel in Birmingham to Linwood, Washington on a flatbed truck. I had a load of steel, and we was going across Moses Lake over by the town of George. And on I-90, you got a Google Earth, you can look it up. If you're going west on I-90, you pass the town of Moses Lake. The next town out there before you get to the Columbia River is called George. And before I got out to George, there was a big old 53-footer van up in front of me. And all of a sudden, I seen him leaning up on all the wheels went up. And I saw the tractor was trying to stabilize it so it wouldn't roll over. And but I'm talking about it teetered there for a while. And he finally got it back down on the ground. And I thought, well, what is he doing? I'm not feeling nothing. Boy, when I have that condo, I got the sleeper back there, high wind thing above the cap. When that thing hit my tractor, it was, I could feel that. Now, the flatbed, it didn't go nowhere. It didn't have a heavy load on it. But it sure leaned that truck up there. That wind was blowing across the town of George. Very high wind. That is more like a lunar scape, if you envision being on the moon. Moses Lake is desert. Moses Lake, Washington is desert, sand dunes, and all that stuff. But you get over Georgia, it's all lava beds. All that Columbia River, the river is cut through all that lava. And you got 300 or 400 foot cliffs there of lava. 300 or 400 foot. When you're up at the top, the area down there at the bottom is called Vantage. And when we was young, when we first got there, they had a tow bridge across the Columbia River. It's called the Bonita Tow Bridge. If you was heading west, once you crossed the Bonita Tow Bridge, as you started up the other side across the Columbia River, they had one of the largest in America. Petrified forest. And it was a huge, and it was open to the public, and you could walk out amongst them. But after 20 or 30 years of people hauling away as many big chunks of petrified rock as they could, they finally fenced it all off, and you had they set up a thing where you had to pay to go out there and look at the petrified trees. It's called the Petrified Forest. Hey, Steve, I'm glad to see you there, buddy. I saw your drone. I saw when you was flying the other day, right from your front yard, and you went up and overlooked the village. And it was really your Typhoon H plus That's what I had when I remember I gave mine away. I met a guy in Birmingham. I said, anybody wants it, I'm gonna give you the charger, all that stuff. I, I was starting a new phase in my life, and the guy come over and met me in Gardendale, Alabama, and I gave him all that. All the, I think I don't know, whatever. I never did go back. I never did fly anymore after that. So. But I love watching your flights because it brings back such good memories. Thank you, 2-4. Yeah, I had, of course, I started off with a Typhoon. My first one I had, uh, what was that thing called? The four engine, the four motor one. And it was a good flying for four motors. That flew really good. But the H, remember, well, you did it too. I saw yours. I did a big American flag, and I flew it all around the big American flag. Everybody loved it. I flew at parks. I'd go over and I'd lift the flag up, fly around the flag. Everybody loved seeing the flag flying. But what I did one time, yeah, Q500. You're right. You got a good memory, Steve. Q500. I had a Q500, and that was a good. I had two of them, two of the Q500. Um, I I took 1 yard of like cheesecloth looking material. I bought it up at where you buy where you could buy a bolted cloth, and I made this head around where the legs where you got the extender. I wrapped it around and put a rubber, and so it looked like a big head around where the landing gear is. I kept the landing gear out, so it made a head, and the rest of the body shimmered, and it looked like a ghost. And at Halloween, I flew over there at my neighbor's house across, and they had like 10 or 12 grandkids out there. Oh my God, they were running and screaming. What? I did it right at sundown, and they got the biggest kick out of that thing. It looked spooky because the blades, all the wind from the blades makes that cloth shimmy. It's got all them holes in it, so the air can blow through the holes, but it makes it shimmer. And it was just moving and undulating down below, hanging 6 or 8 feet below the drone, and it was just moving around. And then one time on the Typhoon H, I took in these 3/8 inch diameter plastic tubes. I put 6 on each leg, and I tie wrapped them around the legs, the landing gear. And we took super glue and glued all 6 of, we put pop bottle rockets in them, brought the fuses out the back and tied them into one. So when I went to lift off, we bought the fuses up in South Carolina that you can add extension. And so Joe lit the fuses, and I went up about 300 feet, and I started aiming them toward that White House over there, and there was pop bottle rockets coming from 300 feet right at the house. It was shooting all the rockets out of them tubes. And well, I mean, lots of smoke coming off the rockets as they're leaving. The camera, the 4K camera, you could track the pop bottle rockets as they're heading towards their house over there. They were running for their lives. I know the people really well, and because they're always shooting their stuff from up. See, they live uphill from me. They fire all their rockets and everything, and shoot them at 4th of July and come right over my house and blows up over my house. So I took my drone and went up 300 feet, shooting them pop bottle rockets with them. I put rocket pads, six under each landing gear there, and man, we fired so many pop bottle rockets out of that thing. We fired it till it smoked my lens up. Let me tell you what happened. I had 2 Typhoon H's. I had one for Ron. He had it delivered to me. We were going to Myrtle Beach, so he had to ship it to me so I could get it all prepped. And then I delivered it by my pickup truck. I drove from here to Myrtle Beach and met him. and I had mine and his, and I had the Q500. What I've done is I also had a 124 scale, one of these really high dollar RC cars. It was actually an RC truck, like a pickup truck, and it had suspension and all that stuff on it. I built a ramp out there. I had the Typhoon H sitting there on the ground with the motors spinning. They're sitting there idling, with all the motors sitting there idling. And I had the Q500 looking at over there, looking at the ramp, and then I had the Typhoon H, the one I'm flying. I had it strapped around my neck, where the screen. I was controlling it from here. I drove with my other hand. I drove the car over the spinning propeller Typhoon H sitting down on the ground. My four-wheel went over it. The Q500 recorded it coming towards it. It was over there out of the way. I recorded it, and then over here, the one I was flying, it recorded the whole thing. And you can see the spinning H down here on the ground, the 500 in the air hovering. And oh man, what a nice video it made. That was on Facebook. And I used to play with all them toys, make them fly over my drone. And I went out there and I had the drone to hover, and I left the controller over there on the ground, just laid it down. And I walked over there, walked under it, and stuck my finger up above it. And it was hovering above my head. And I pushed it up, and it would go up in the air, and then it'd come right back down. I could push it up, and it would come right back down right above my head there. Crazy thing to do, but it made a good video. Nobody got hurt. You gotta go, buddy. Hey, have a good one, Steve. Now, Steve is a drone flying buddy of mine. He also is a bike rider. He does love his bike. He's got a nice sounding bike. That thing, he rides with a good grip. He has some big rides. They have a shorter riding period than we do down here, but he makes the best of his riding time. Yeah, I created my own Dukes of Hazzard 2-4 with four-wheel remote control four-wheel jumping over the top of a drone sitting down there. But I also flew Coors. Yeah, that's your Coors beer right there, buddy. Uh, it's not dirty because I wear dirty stuff. It came dirty because you can see inside is like new, but it came. See, look at the flag. Look like it's old, wore out. It was aged when I bought it. It's what it looked like when it came out of the box. Looked like a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this thing, but it's a new hat. It came that way, so you didn't have to break it in. People used to give me hats. Oh, what do you think about my little buddy up on the wall up there? Did you see my right here? See my little buddy up there? My little gecko. Well, let me see. Do I have anything? any worthwhile stories that y'all haven't heard? This is the place right here in this state of Alabama. I probably built some of my fondest memories up here. Um, the challenge to survive. When we was little boys, we'd come home from school. I'm just going to be a wait and see on that one because uh, I don't know. I I don't know. It's I get offers every day for it. They sent me another promotion for the summer. Right now, it's really cheap. Uh, I can get it pretty cheap. I'll pay for it with Old Mack dollars. It's it's a lot of things. I've got a good system now. It appears it's going to be running good, and but it's just a lot of responsibility of all the things you have to do. And, I like that not being tied down to anything. I don't want to get myself committed to doing repetitious things. I'm a person of spontaneity. I like to wake up in the morning and this is what I want to do. I want to try to do it, rather than having a schedule to meet. I did this on ham radio. I did the ham radio thing for so many years, and I got where I had a routine. I was doing the same thing over and over, talking to the same boys over and over, and it just got where it was just well, society has changed too. There's so much anger in so many places about so many things, and if you say to yourself, "I want to operate where you can feel free to say anything you want to say," well, under that forum where you can say anything you want to say, you're going to piss somebody off because somebody's going to say something somebody else ain't going to like, and then there's going to be some kind of a pissing contest about what they said. I don't. I'll probably spend the rest of my life just joining in with other people. Um, I don't have the mindset to deal with anger. People have so many things to be angry about. When you get to my age, you kind of park the anger off to one side and think about how could you better improve the quality of your life as well as somebody else. And one of the things you do is not provoke someone into a fit of anger. And maybe it wouldn't be me provoking a fit of anger. Let's just say that I have an open forum where you can talk about anything. If somebody wants to get in there and talk about Palestinians, there's going to be friction right there. What if they want to talk about uh, the Jewish Holocaust or the Nazis or communism? I don't have time in my life to deal with all of that kind of stress. Hey, Carney, I leave that for those that have nothing to do but to do that. And I don't like to provoke anger. Now let's just try to stay happy. Crystal Miller, hello, hello. You're doing good, Rob. Rob's neighbor. Yeah, whenever I'm a part of a forum, or if I want to be running some kind of where people get together, I would like to think I would be in the oasis in the storm and chaos. So you can come and relax. On the radio, you can ask anybody that's ever been around. For 20 years, I run a network um, on 40 meters, and it was called Room 222. Room 222. And people from all around the world came and joined me in room 222. And then we'd start off the deal. You'd get in the elevator and go up to the seventh floor. And then you went from the seventh floor down to room 222. So the frequency we was operating was 7.222. So room 222, yeah, that was the room that you came to off the seventh floor. That was we was on 40 meters. And we had this every day. We had so much fun. And it was a place where you could come, and we would, I would issue out the different pills of the day. I was a narcotics guy. I'd give stress pills. There was digital. There was nothing. It was, they would open their little mouths, and I'd give them my, we were on the radio talk show. And I was giving them their little pills, to sedate them, because they would be coming in from other frequencies where there was all kinds of drama and stress. And when you got to mine, it was you left your drama and your stress and all that stuff outside the door. Room 222 was more like a psych ward, where you was already under a tremendous amount of stress, and you come and I'd give you your tranquilizers and get you calmed down, and so you can take on the rest of the day. I did that show for 20 years. Room 222. We came on every day at exactly 1 o'clock Central Time. And we had a sergeant just got out he come home from the war, from Vietnam. He was a top sergeant and first shirt. And I always make him take his shoes off before he came into room 222. I'd say, don't come in here with that Louisiana mud on them boots and come up in here sloshing around. And he got the biggest kick out of that, because he was being given orders. Take them boots off, boy. You're going to come into my room. So we did this for a long time, but then hate began to come in. And the sickness of hate began to erode away our group. They would come in and want to pick fights with other people that came in from other bands on the ham radio. And so you got to keep in mind, everything we did had to be within the guidelines of the FCC. You don't get to go in there and play music or honk horns or none of that stuff like on a commercial radio. You had to stay within the confines of the FCC rules and regulations. But we run room 222 at the very edge of legality. We knew the law and we knew how far we could go, and that's what we did. We didn't advocate taking drugs. Ours was made up drugs. We'd give them an orange pill and a blue pill, and a lot of the guys knew what the blue pill was. And so years later, I run across guys that say, "Oh my God, you're the guy from room 222." They would remember that, because ours was a fun 20 years on the radio. I was on the radio 48 years. 222, room 222 was just an awesome place to come. It was like Soupy Sales of the radio. It's kind of like Dr. Demento of the radio. If it was zany and it provoked laughter and humor and goodwill, it was perfectly acceptable on my show. So I did the show every day from 1 to 3. And we had regulars. We had a nurse. She retired. She had 26 years, 20 something years as a nurse in the Navy. And she used to come in and tell us about during the Vietnam War about she'd be stationed in the Philippine Islands on a medical ship, and her job was to treat all the sailors that went to Longopo. They would come back from the Longopo with a medical procedure they had to perform, and she'd tell us about them, all that stuff that she's seen over the years. What kind of things GIs got themselves involved in. When he was in R&R, they'd come back out of Vietnam and then they would go to Subic Bay. And you're in the Army, but you'd go to Subic Bay for R&R. You might be in the Marine Corps, but you'd still go for R&R. You'd end up going to a Longopo or whatever you wanted to do while you was during the R&R. And she took care of all the medical cases that came out of all the sailors and soldiers and Marines and Air Force guys kicking up their heels in the islands. Boys are going to be boys. She was a delightful person. We had so many military people in our channel that would come in, because our channel was the R&R of the ham radio. It was the oasis. It was the place you could come and eat watermelon. It's where you came to enjoy kumbaya. Everybody needs a rest. It was a mental break. And some of them verged on the edge of insanity because of the stress. I had a deal when I was at the Boeing company. The Boeing company had this deal called take a soldier fishing. And I had a 35-foot boat. And over at Fort Lewis, they would be on the bulletin board over there. My number was given out, and the Boeing company would pay me to take these soldiers and sailors and various people that came through Fort Lewis on a fishing excursion. I'd take them over to Maury Island, let them catch these big lean cod, big old true cod, Pacific cod, and I knew I had all the great fish finding equipment, and I enjoyed that. I did that for a number of years during the Vietnam War. The company, it was a part of what they call the Boeing Good Neighbor. It's funded through the Boeing Good Neighbor Fund. And they paid my wages to take military people fishing. One time I picked up a lieutenant general. He's from Illinois, and he was stationed over there at McCord Air Force Base. He was a surgeon. And he called me and he said, "Are you taking out, do you have any spots open?" I said, "Sure." And his wife brought him down to the pier where my boat was at. And he was a really very elegant gentleman. A lieutenant general, he's not your dog, man. He's going to have to fuss about him. So we're out there, and my boat's got My boat's got a porta potty on it, and but it was a confining little place because most of us, when we had to go pee, we just went and got to the back of the boat. We just piss off the back of the boat. That's just the way we did it. Everybody, all the soldiers, they just threw it over the edge and piss right there, you know. Because I had the coolers full of beer, I had it all lined up, you know. And you ain't only going to drink 3 or 4 beers, and you have to pee 3 or 4 beers. And so he came over to me. He said, "Is it possible you could take me over to that island?" I said, "Sure, I could. Why do you want to go to the island?" He said, I can't pee standing on the side like that. And my bladder won't let me do it. You know, I don't know if he had a shy bladder or whatever it was, but he had to have his feet on the ground so he could pee. So we go rolling in there in my 35-foot boat, and the waves shoved me up and down, and it pushed me in there. And I got it in, but I got the motor still in the water, so I can back up. And 3 or 4 guys got out and stabilized the boat, and he jumped out and went over there. Oh man, he was so happy. He come back, got on the boat. He said, "Whoa, I was about to die." And got him back in the boat. He got to catching these big old, catching 4 true cod at a time. A true cod would be 20, 22 inches long, you know, and 4 at a time. I had it set up the way the lines were. I used plug cut heron, and I bait all their lines for them. And oh, we had just big old the well there was just full of fish. And then when we got it back over the shore, oh, we stayed too long over at Maury Island, and a squall came up, and it's 4 miles from Maury Island back to Browns Point. And the waves now are 12 foot. We're in a 35-foot boat, but waves 12 foot. You get down to the bottom of the trough, you've got whitecaps coming up over there. We rode back over to Browns Point. Oh, it was a touch and go. That boat was, it was doing everything. And there was some sick boys back there, you know. Oh, a lot of sick people. And we finally got them back to Browns Point. And so he had to show his wife all the fish he caught. And he said, "No, no." And so all the soldiers, they went over there, and over there they have a gutting place where they clean the fish. And they cleaned all the fish. And they wrapped them up in cheesecloth looking stuff. They rolled them all up. And they took them to Fort Lewis. They was going to have a cookout over there at Fort Lewis. I took my share of the fish that I caught. You have a little punch. You punch them in the gills, you know. You put a little hole in the gills to represent whose fish was what. And oh my gosh, we just knocked them dead in that storm. The waters was really rough, but we caught a lot of fish. But that guy enjoyed his life. See, normal, those worlds don't mix. Your military officers and enlisted men just don't seem to mix very well. You know, fraternizing with the lower ranks like that just usually never occurred. But it did occur, and it did occur with us. We had such a good time. So one of the guys that went out with me a lot, his name was Sergeant Putney from New York. Sergeant Putney. He was first shirt Sergeant Putney, 3 up, 3 down. Old Sergeant Putney had a microbus, a Volkswagen microbus. And he said, "What we don't want to do on this fishing trip, we don't want to go fishing at Puget Sound. We want to go trout fishing." And I said, "Well, let's go. I got a river that is just so full of trout. You won't have no trouble catching your trout, all the trout you want. It's called the American River. It's over in the Olympic Peninsula." So we took our microbus and go over there. And I had a Sergeant Putney was first shirt, and we had a Sergeant Blackburn. Sergeant Blackburn was at the same rank, but he wasn't first shirt. He when they were in their combat unit, Putney outranked. Uh, he was the highest ranking one in the group. Sergeant Blackburn was just a really super good guy. He was a ladies' man. He liked the women. All of us did, but he had a way with the women. If he would come up to a pier, there'd be three or four ladies come riding up in there wanting to meet Sergeant Blackburn. And he had a way with the women. But anyhow, we had a great fishing trip over on the American River, over on the Olympic Peninsula. And we're climbing up this big hill on I-5 in that Volkswagen microbus. It's got the windows up along the edges, got windows all over the place. Sergeant Blackburn was in the back seat. There's one cross seat back there, and I was up in the seat, a middle seat up here. And as we're going up a long hill, I began to hear the engine was making a weird noise back there where we was at. And then the engine blowed up. The engine crankshaft broke and stuff come gushing up inside of the microbus. Sergeant Blackburn, before that bus ever stopped, he jumped out of the microbus and rolled down the hillside right there on I-5. He thought it was incoming. They just come out of combat. I mean, they come where it was a hellhole. These wasn't cooks and stuff like that. These were combat soldiers that was being treated medically at my court over there, psychological war damage. And when that engine blowed up, Blackburn thought he, just got an incoming, and we had to go down and retrieve him because it skinned him up, man. When he jumped out, we're doing 40 miles per hour, and he rolls down the hill. Blackburn is head over heels, Whoa. I have a good history of airplanes dating back to when I was 14 years of age. I I got to ride in a Cub, Hopper Cub, Super Cub, and we took about 100-mile ride in it on our first ride, and I had to do the magneto thing. The pilot, he went out there and he told me, he said, "I'm gonna turn the engine backwards 3 or 4 times. When I tell you, I want you to turn the magneto on." And he said, after he turned it back, he said, "Magneto!" And I turned the magnet. You got two magnetos. And I turned them both to the right. And then he kicked that motor up, started around. I'm sitting in that airplane almost by myself, 14 years old, and that motor just he come and open that little old canvas door and crawl in the back seat. That's he flew up from the back seat. And I sit up in the front. And we flew over the steel mills. Back in the day, that would have been in 1954. The steel mills was running. There was 17 miles of steel mills where they poured steel and all that stuff. And the heat would be rising up. So when that little Piper Cub flew over the steel mills, it went way up. It just raised up 500 feet. And as soon as it dropped down on the other side, it just dropped like a rock. And golly, that was so much fun. I really had such a love for aviation. I spent all my life involved in aviation. Well, the company I work for is right now America's premium aviation company. And I got a whole wall of aircraft everywhere. Yeah, it was it was a good experience getting involved in aircraft. I liked all the old military planes. It has good color. Look at that whale. You live a pretty good life, Rob, up there in Wisconsin. You got a good selection of people. You got a good background in racing. I really enjoyed that the other day when everybody was talking about using front brakes versus rear brakes. And I rode a bike one time that had no brakes. I raced a bike that had no brakes. It had none, zero. You didn't have no reason for brakes. The idea for the bike was to go fast and you didn't need a brake. It was called a Jawa CZ. I think it was from Czechoslovakia. And it had a sprocket that big around in the back, almost as big as the rear wheel. And it had a 500cc one cylinder. And that thing has so much torque on it. And you would jack that back end up and put that foot, you had a what you call a hot shoe, and you'd put that old hot shoe down on the ground, and you would slide that foot around through there, and that back end would be stuck out way over there, and there'd be a guy right next to you. You literally could touch the guy that you're racing right next to you at breakneck speeds. And when you let off the throttle, you had so much compression and everything, the thing would come down and you could gear shift, downshift, and it would beller out there and never need no brakes. Uh, we raced one time in a reservoir. It was a concrete circular reservoir, and it was I don't know how many millions of gallons it held, but it was part of the nuclear project at Hanford, Washington. But up on this hill, they put this big cooling reservoir. The water, they had to have millions of gallons of water for whatever they was doing. And it was classified back in the days, but they decommissioned that whole area. And we'd go up there and ride inside of our motorcycles inside of that reservoir. We'd ride around right up to the rim. And you could go so fast. You could see black strips of rubber around the concrete where you'd be spinning your wheels on the wall going around there. Because you had to keep your energy up going around the wall. The inertia, the force against your suspension would keep you on the wall. And if you, oh, my blurred? Oh, yeah. Oh, my camera got slow on me. I thought for a minute I was losing my vision. Anyhow, that was fun riding on the wall. We got to do a lot of things that would be considered cool in today's standard because people are just not into that kind of stuff as much as they did back in the old days. I hope I did. I believe I did say hello and good morning to Carney and Crystal Miller. Well, the temperature is dropping real fast in here. So maybe I should think about going and taking a shower, but I got to go fix lunch. No, we don't eat this early. I have to get breakfast. Come here, little buddy. Oh, the dog just woke up. Come here, little buddy. He woke He woke up. He don't know what world he's in. Uh, he wanted to go riding so bad yesterday, but we didn't take him because when it's in the 90s, even though there's air blowing on him, when we get stopped at sitting out there in that sun at 90 degrees against my chest, he gets really hot. Got me a little slice and dice the other day. Ooh, it's sharp as a razor. I ain't kidding. Boy, it is sharp. Surgical steel. I had one of these for a long time. You'll see it's got a good, a good way of supporting it and holding on to it. Uh, I cut a lot of ropes and stuff. You can see the thing's got a pretty good blade on it. But I had one similar to this, and what happens to knives, I don't know. I've got a really nice knife given to me laying right over there. That was given to me by a real dear friend that took the time out to come and see me. And when he came to visit, he brought Old Mack a knife. Old Mack likes his knives. I got a big one right back over there. I got another big one right over there. K-bar. I like cutting. If I got a big old roast in there and I want to slice that roast up, I'll come and get my K-bar, wipe it off with a little alcohol. Oh man, you can carve up a roast there with that K-bar really good. Oh, 2-4, you got to go do what you got to do, buddy. I just appreciate you coming in and spending a little time with Old Mac. Um, you're what helps make the show possible. You and all the folks that come over and visit us, it is certainly appreciated. I'm beginning to look like a Q-tip. You know what? Look at that. I got to do like them boys, other boys do. I think I got a rubber band. I could do that. I could put me a rubber band. Uh, uh, it's like straw. Good thing my sister ain't around. She'd have it all cut off by now. She can't stand them. She has to cut them off. If my sister around, she'd be. I just don't like anything hair. Have a good day, 2-4. Well, I've held you guys up a long time. Y'all probably have things to do and places to go and people to see and stuff of that nature. So let me. I just wanted to thank everybody for the outpouring of support I got for my sister. It's not about me; it's about her. And I just hope that one day she recovers to the point where she'll be able to understand the amount of love and support she got during her period of incapacitation when she was just not able to do for herself. I don't know if the audio is any good or not. Nobody's complained about not being able to hear me, so I got the big microphone over here, but I don't use that. Got another one over there, and I don't use that. I'm just using the little microphone in this right here in the camera. Well, everybody wanting to get out and go. Hey, Robin, thank you very much. Yeah, I hope she pulls through too for her sake, because she is still young enough. I remember when I was in my 70s, and it was good. So everybody find something to do to enjoy your life, make somebody happy. But most of all, make yourself happy. Whatever is devastating to you, find a way to get some relief from it. Enjoy life. You you deserve to treat yourself good. God bless you. Bye bye.